What do Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, lifelong sports fan, and I was doing a whole lot better on picks until this week. So, definitely a rough week. Several upsets occurred this past week on picks. I only went 7-6. Did drop me substantially in the rankings since I went with several upsets that did not end up happening. Notably, the Falcons, we found a way to lose at the end of that game after what I would call, for the most part, being dominant, particularly with over 200 yards rushing. Also thought the Packers would find a way to turn it around. They are now officially a bad football team, and I can't count on them with any sort of consistency going forward. I did think the Commies would beat Minnesota, and it looked like that might happen for a little while, even though there was some questionable ref ball with the ref taking out one of the Viking receivers there. But anyways, and again, I picked the Raiders over the Jacksonville Jaguars. It looked like it was going to happen. Blew a 17-point lead, so I don't feel necessarily wrong about that. And then I picked the Buffalo Bills. Everybody picked the Bills over the Jets, who have been kind of struggling a little bit. Their defense is great. Picked the Rams over the Bucks. Again, another one that looked like until the fourth quarter that was going to be a solid pick. So had things held like I thought they were going to, I would have had at least 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 picks here that would have turned out the right way, but they just all went the wrong way, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So let's start with Thursday Night Football with this week. We have several teams on bye again. I think we have 4 teams total this week on bye. So right out the gate, Thursday Night Football, my Atlanta Falcons go to Carolina. Carolina is expected to have Sam Darnold back, and I think they're going to give Sam Darnold the start. I don't know that that is beneficial to them. They're now 2-7. Falcons are 4-5, tied for first. If the Falcons win, they return to sole possession of first place. So just because the Falcons have more to play for, we are missing several of our starters right now. I don't think there was an injury report for yesterday, but I'm going to double check that again. But I know Casey Hayward is out. We did just have to put Matt Hennessy on the injured reserve as well. He is out. Let's see here, our Falcons injury report. This is all for last week, so I don't think it's going to be beneficial to us. But it just depends. If A.J. Terrell is in this game, which he is listed in the depth chart as our number 1 corner for this week, if he's back, then I think it swings it in our favor. I don't know that that'll be great for us. Fenton, who we just traded for the Chiefs, he should finally get a chance to play. He was active, but he was kind of a healthy scratch this past week. It's really hard to come into a team that you just got traded to and be effective at corner. It's such a niche skill position that it's hard to actually do well at it. So I don't mind the fact that he didn't play this past week. But Carolina, they're reeling. They were really bad this past week. Basically, the Bengals watched what we did from a rushing standpoint and doubled down on that. Joe Mixon had 4 on the ground and 1 through the air. It was ridiculous. But I'm going to go with the Falcons here. I can't go against this. I'm going to say we take back first place in the division. And I'm actually, with our first game of Sunday morning, which is another London game, we have what was supposed to be a pretty crappy-looking matchup with Seattle against Tampa Bay. I am going to say the Seattle Seahawks, who look great right now. Geno Smith has that team rolling. Tampa Bay struggled against a hurt and not particularly great Rams team, having to come back at the very end of that game to win it. Rams, they do have a shorter, or not the Rams, the Buccaneers do have a shorter distance to travel across the pond, but both of these teams, as soon as they were done Sunday, were packed up and headed over, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Just maybe 4 or 5 more hours of travel for the Seahawks overall here, but at this point in time, going into Sunday, they should be perfectly fine. So I'm going to say the Seahawks come away with the victory here. Tampa Bay is favored, but it's almost a 50-50 matchup. There is no true home game here. And actually, no, this is not London. I think this is a Germany game. I think this is going to be the NFL's first German game, if I remember correctly. So it's not London, but it's Germany. Then we go into the Sunday afternoon slate. Minnesota Vikings at Buffalo Bills. This will be the true test for the Vikings. If the Vikings win this game, they are a legit contender. I'm not concerned about the fact that they've had so many one-score games and have not been dominant, particularly in any of them. Buffalo had a lapse in judgment. Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions, very uncharacteristic for him. Had a very off day, but they still kept it close with a good Jets defense. Minnesota Vikings defense is nowhere near that caliber. It is in Buffalo. Give me the Buffalo Bills. Vikings are going to go 7-2 at this point, and the Bills will look back to form at this point to go into the midpoint of the season. Then we have the Lions at the Bears. Now, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I had all the confidence in the Lions and 0 confidence in the Bears. The Bears, despite losing the last few weeks, have invigorated that offense, finally letting Justin Fields run the ball and play Michael Vick style football without the good through the air portion, but having more rushing yards than any quarterback ever last week and still losing, but being in that game totally and completely. I am going to go with Chicago here. The Lions just don't look good. They only scored 15 points against the Packers. So I still don't think that they are particularly good at this point in time. I had a lot of hope for them early in the season, but I think they're going to be relegated to the back end of their division again and picking in the top 5. They are on the right track. They have to do something with that defense. That offense needs a little bit of a boost. They got rid of Hawkinson, which I think was a terrible move, but they need to do something in the draft on defense. And maybe even if they're high enough, take a quarterback. But that's just my thoughts on them. I do pick the Bears in this game. I think the Bears' offense is rolling and rocking right now. They just haven't found a way to win games, but they are looking much, much better. Then we go Denver Broncos at Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are running the ball. That is their entire offense at this point in time. If you have Tennessee receivers, bench them, don't play them, don't touch them. They are guys that you might even want to consider cutting permanently unless you're in a dynasty league. Denver found a way to win in London, and maybe those knee highs for Russell Wilson are finding a way to spark the team a little bit. They are coming off of a fairly decent time off, having a bye last week. Titans are looking very good right now. Their run defense is good. Their pass defense is good. I didn't have a lot of faith in them in their first 3 games, but they're now on a 5-game win streak, and King Henry is back. With King Henry being back, as long as he's healthy, I'm going to give this to the Titans. Denver Broncos, I'm still not sure had that true identity, as it was a struggle win in London. So give me the Tennessee Titans here. Then we move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3-6, having I would say semi-upset the Raiders this past week. It's kind of a tank bowl, so it's hard to upset somebody when you're a tank bowl. At the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't need to go into great detail on this one. Kansas City struggled to run the ball, but when you throw more than 480 yards as a quarterback, you expect to win the game. So you can afford to only run for like 30 yards and have a quarterback that does that and win games. Jaguars are looking better. You guys are not bad. You are going to be better in the coming years. You're playing tight, close football. You just had a good win, a good comeback win against the Raiders, and you were at home for that one. You're going to Kansas City. I would be genuinely shocked if the Jaguars win this. This doesn't feel like a trap game. It feels very much like Kansas City should be in the driver's seat. But Kansas City has kind of been playing somewhat to the same level of their opponents, I would say. Kansas City has to play to their full potential, and I think they will. This is going to be a very big game for fantasy this week for anybody who has Kansas City players. And the Jaguars are going to be throwing a ton, so Christian Kirk will also be a big player this week. But I still don't think they end up coming out with the victory. Give me Kansas City Chiefs. Then we go Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins. Cleveland 3-5 with an amazing running game and questionable quarterback play. We still do not have Deshaun Watson back. He's not coming back for another couple of weeks here. Miami Dolphins are 6-3. They are perfect when Tua is not getting absolutely murdered in the backfield and having his brain sloshed inside his skull. Tua looks like he is MVP caliber. Now they've added Tyreek Hill. That seems to be the missing link for him. Give me Miami all day long in Miami. I would be genuinely shocked if the Browns win this one, but again, weird things happen. Then we go to the Houston Texans playing for that number 1 overall pick and their choice of C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, which at this point I would honestly go C.J. Stroud because Bryce is looking like he's having some struggles this year from an SEC football standpoint. Still a good quarterback, but Stroud does look like the better prospect right now. They're going up against the New York Giants in New York. Giants coming off a loss to Seattle. I did pick that one. That was a very good game overall. Close all the way up until the end. Giants are still a very good football team this year, something I didn't think would be leaving my mouth at week 10 of the NFL. But the New York Giants, man, you guys are a surprise this year. Saquon Barkley's looking to try and get that extension with them. As long as they can run the ball through Saquon, they're going to win this game. Texans don't have an answer. Dameon Pierce is looking amazing for them. They can build around him in the future as well as get this next quarterback. Brandon Cooks may rejoin the team. He may not. He's kind of in a holdout situation where he's just saying, I don't want to get hurt playing for you for the rest of the year, and you're going to need to trade me in the offseason. Problem being, he costs $18 million, so I don't know who's going to take that contract on and who's going to give up draft capital for it. But he's still a quality receiver in the offseason. But give me the New York Giants in this one. Saquon Barkley is going to run all over them. Then we go to the New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. New Orleans Saints got beat pretty badly last night after being fairly inept for the most part through that game on Monday Night Football against the Ravens. Steelers, you still don't have an identity. You just lost Chase Claypool, which you wanted him gone. This is truly going to be for Urinating Tree an unfortunate situation for him. He is going to have to play the Tank Bowl music for his own team, as both of these teams are just in the bottom of their respective divisions and probably are going to stay there. I do think the New Orleans Saints are a better football team at this point, especially with the injuries to the Pittsburgh defense. Give me the Saints. It's going to be tough. It's going to be ugly. This is not going to be a super fun game to watch unless you just happen to be a fan of them. But give me the Saints here. Then we go to the Indianapolis Colts. We're moving into the 4 o'clock slate at the Las Vegas Raiders. Colts just fired their head coach, and the Raiders gave up 17 points. That's actually the fourth time I think it's the fourth or fifth time they've done that this year. Raiders, you got to remember what is working and run with that. Devontae Adams had a game in the first half. You just gave up on giving him the ball in the second half. Y'all got to stick with a game plan that works. I do think the talent on the Raiders overall is better than the talent for the Indianapolis Colts. It's in Las Vegas for that reason, because of the travel, because it's in Las Vegas, because I think the Raiders are better than their record reflects right now. Give me the Raiders. Then we have 2 more 4 o'clock matchups to talk about. Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers are bad. I'm sorry, Tom Grassi. I'm really sorry. You nailed it with your video this week. The Green Bay Packers are a bad football team right now. Y'all are not playing good cohesive football. I cannot pick you with any confidence going forward. Scooter Magruder, your Dallas Cowboys are rocking along here, finally coming alive with all pieces working together like a well-tuned machine. I think you might have even beat the Eagles had you played them with Dak present earlier this season. But give me the Dallas Cowboys here. I think they find a way to win this game, and I don't know that it's going to be particularly close. It is in Lambeau, but the Dallas Cowboys just have a great defense, and they've got a solid offense. So, this may, in fact, be a year where the Cowboys go beyond the first round of the playoffs. But give me the Cowboys. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals at the LA Rams. Who wants to lose more? That is the question here. Arizona Cardinals, they are not playing particularly good football. They were down this entire last week, and they ended up losing. LA Rams, they were winning for the most part in Tampa Bay and just couldn't find a way to close that game. Stafford is looking a little puny with that arm. He's definitely going to need surgery in the offseason. I'm not sure it's a great idea for him to be playing. But he and Cooper Kupp do have an amazing connection. They need to find one of those running backs. Probably the rookies are where they need to lean to to establish a run game. Give me the LA Rams in LA. I do like them better. The Cardinals, I just don't think are a good cohesive football team. And I think Cliff Kingsbury will get fired if he loses this game. So I look for that to be the next announcement within the next week or two, because I don't think the Cardinals win this. Give me the Rams. Then we have the LA Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers. LA coming off of an improbable win against my Atlanta Falcons for Sunday Night Football here, where they're playing at San Francisco. San Francisco coming off of a bye, playing, for the most part, pretty good football overall. Probably a more complete team than the Chargers, who still may not have Keenan Allen, who do not have Mike Williams, who have a lot of receivers who, from personal experience watching this past week, either tipped the ball or dropped the ball, and a run game that will probably face a little bit of stiff resistance from what should be one of the top 5 rush defenses in the league. Justin Herbert still nursing an injury. Jimmy Garoppolo playing fairly good, competent football overall. Give me the 49ers over the Chargers at home. Then we move on to Monday Night Football, the Washington Commies at the Philadelphia Eagles. This game will be much closer than people anticipate. Only 5% of people are picking the Commies, which I think is appropriate. But the Eagles have not played a bunch of good teams to get to 8-0, but they have looked good in every game they've played. This, I wouldn't have thought a few weeks ago would be a test, but the Commies are actually playing cohesive football, and I think this is going to be a game that will challenge the Eagles. It is in Philadelphia, so I do think they will ultimately walk away with the victory. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on this week. Again, I went 7-6 last week, so that puts me overall at 84, 51, and 1. Would love to know your thoughts down below. Please let me know how you see some of these games going. Did I pick incorrectly? Am I doing some stupid picks here? Do you think there's going to be any upsets? I actually, looking back through, I think the only upset I have picked here is technically Seattle. I think we're starting to see more of these teams' identities now. And again, we always have to expect there to be some upsets on any given Sunday. I just don't know. I think the ones that could be upsets, Chargers and Cardinals could both upset their opponents as the away teams. Colts certainly could upset the Raiders here, but I got to go with the gut on this, and I just don't feel like that's going to happen. So hopefully I go 14-0 this week. I can almost guarantee that won't happen. But, hey, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Consider liking the video. Subscribe to my channel. It'll really help me grow. And thanks for watching. And as always, rise up.